So, tell me something terrible. Big question.
Okay.
Did you make up a jingle to sing like We Wish You a Merry Cultmas?
No, I didn't know that was on the homework list.
Yeah, that. And Did you order your sweater yet?
No, I was going to, and then I got distracted. I think it...
Did Beth end up ordering one?
I have no idea.
I know she said she would. I didn't get I don't know if I have notification turned on from our merch sales.
Nah, it's a pain in the ass.
That's our shameless plug, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a sweater.
We do.
I put beavers and Christmas trees on it because I thought it was funny.
Oh, those beavers?
Yes, they're beavers.
I thought they were big rats.
No.
I couldn't tell, and I was like, maybe that's something we covered too. I don't know.
No, it was beavers.
Okay.
And then I put the Christmas lights as a reference to one of the cults we did last year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah,
so if you
they're
need
on there.
If you need an ugly sweater contest,
I mean, they're not sweat. They're also not like sweaters. They're just like T-shirts. That have.
You can get like
they're like sweatshirts. They're not like knitted sweaters.
Well, that's
sweatshirts.
Yeah, well, no shit, they're not knitted sweatshirts.
Yeah. Also, I touched my fucking other eye.
Oh, Tiff cut up jalapenos and she's gross. Never washes her hands, so now she's paying the price. This is how you teach children too.
It is.
Yeah.
I had a cousin who used to suck on her thumbs until she was like a preteen.
Get that funky nail polish or whatever.
No, they put straight Tabasco sauce on her thumbs when she was like 8, like our kids' age. They're like, suffer.
Yeah, if
she still did it till she was like 10 or 12.
If we did that to you, you'd be like, spicy.
Spicy.
Anyway, so yeah, if you want a sweater, they're on whatever top link in the Facebook.
Yep,
it's pinned.
It's through Threadless Art. I don't know the price on them. They have sales all the time.
It's either tellmesomethingterrible.threadless.com or threadless.tellmesomethingterrible.com. It's one of those two.
Yep.
Anyway, you ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, seriously, it just keeps getting increasingly worse.
I know, and you covered your whole face up when you were doing the intro, and your mic's precariously upright.
Okay, great. Hopefully I didn't...
Will you lean that thing towards you?
Yep. Okay. It goes limp if it gets too far. I'm going to try to read this story one-eyed.
Through your good eye?
Yeah, so we might have to pause for the cause so I can get eye drops.
I have a glass of water here. Did you want to waterboard yourself?
No, I'm okay.
All right, power through.
So happy Cultmas, everybody.
Happy Cultmas. 'Tis the season.
'Tis the season. I know we're going to do at least 3 episodes because I wrote 5 pages on this one and I haven't even gotten to the bad stuff yet.
Oh, good.
Yep.
So this is going to be a good podcast.
Yeah, this one's, it's going to be confusing.
So we're planning.
Okay.
There's some bad stuff. We discussed this earlier. Don't say okay like you're like, I'm telling you this, I'm telling them this.
You could be, let's be honest. I'm probably hearing it for the first time, truly.
No. We're going to record the first half this week, so that'll be coming out while you're listening to it today. Mm-hmm. So today, whatever, the 7th, December 6th? 6th, I believe it's 6th.
Sure.
And then the second half of this should come out next week, so it'll be like back-to-back weeks.
Yep.
And then the other cult you wanted to cover should be again the following. Should be 3 straight weeks of podcasts.
Yeah.
And then
because I don't know exactly what cult I'm going to cover next. They might become a 2-parter too.
Okay. But then the week between Christmas and New Year's, we won't have a podcast.
Unless that second episode goes long.
Yeah, that's true. But we will have our bonus one on Patreon.
Yes.
Sometime between there. Maybe on New Year's Eve. Little countdown. We'll release it right at midnight. Just kidding.
That sounds
That's essentially how we release Patreon episodes.
Let's just fuck it. Ring in the new year.
The patrons know.
Recording a podcast.
You always get one every month. But it's usually
the last day.
Yes.
Sometimes the second to the last day if we're feeling feisty.
Right? Anyway.
That's okay. I had 2 weeks to write this.
Did you?
I wrote it
today.
Oh, I started yesterday. I wrote a page and then I wrote 4 more today.
Well, good.
Even though I had this time, it's the thrill of the procrastination. Right?
The 11th hour.
Yes.
Hey, in your defense, it is Sunday. We've done these on Monday nights.
Also, again, it's one of those things where like, what a weird quirk. I just like procrastinating. It's just, I'm a procrastinator. It's an ADHD thing. You get a dopamine release when you're like stress writing.
Everybody loves the stress of a deadline.
I don't think everybody does.
Everybody I know procrastinates.
Well, you seem to attract a lot of neurodivergent people to you, so you should probably start doing some...
Or we do.
Yeah, you should probably do some self-reflecting too.
Okay.
Mister, I was watching this thing about the 6 signs of autism while you were actively like doing 2 of them.
I just had my feet on a coffee table. I don't know how that was.
And rubbing them together.
Yeah. I have bad circulation. I got to make sure it still works. All right. Got to make sure
every second of every day.
I got to make sure
one of these days it's just going to stop.
I got to make sure my left foot can tell my right foot's still there. Okay. Anyway, will you talk to me about people being led by some
Let's get started.
white guy with long hair?
He is a white guy with long hair.
They all are.
They all are. So
I don't get it. But anyway.
I'll have an explanation for you at least in this one.
Yeah.
So born to a...
I just assume they want to look more like Jesus. Good. Okay. That's just my general assumption about most cult leaders here.
I didn't even have to nod my head. I just had to
America.
half smirk at him. And he's like, yeah, that's it.
Okay, good.
Cult 101.
All right. Is this one famous? Okay. I mean...
It's Michigan. I say it's Michigan famous, but I have mentioned this topic to other people, and they're like, huh. I mean, it is. We mentioned it a few episodes ago.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm here for it.
So, it's relatively... at least locally famous, I think. I guess it depends on how much true crime stuff you're in.
How about you tell us the story and then...
Nope. I'm going to let everybody keep guessing.
Okay, good.
So, born to a Kentucky preacher farmer in 1861,
Okay.
Benjamin Purnell...
He's dead.
Yes. We'll get to that eventually in the second half.
Yep.
This is just a brief history of kind of how this got started and all of the good things this cult did.
Book note, a brief history, 5 minutes in.
Yep.
We'll reflect on that in an hour.
So Benjamin Purnell, he was the seventh son of
a
this
seventh
preacher.
son?
I don't know if it's the seventh.
I feel like I've heard of that guy. Anyway.
The seventh son of the seventh son? Benjamin Purnell?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Probably.
Keep going.
He had to endure his father's, I was going to say the seventh son of the ones that are supposed to be able to see the Fae.
Yeah.
In case you need some folklore.
That's why nobody's ever going to be able to see it again because ain't nobody having 7 kids.
Absolutely not.
And
especially 7 sons. They have to be the 7th son.
Yeah. Well, that, and if anybody grew up with 6 brothers, you know what I need? I need 7 kids myself, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Absolutely not. So he had to endure his father's fire and brimstone sermons around their family fire every night. In actuality, it was his older brother that essentially raised him because, you were either just born for labor or as a babysitter back then. He gave Benjamin his first Bible at 14.
Oh, that's relatively late.
Yeah.
Late bloomer.
Yeah. Back in the 1860s.
It's also the year he learned to read up there.
Yeah. Well, he memorized it completely.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Quick study.
Yep. So this sparked Benjamin's lurid affair with God. By 16, I just tried to find the most juxtaposed way, to describe this obsession with God.
Yeah.
That lurid affair, sounded
like
scandalous.
His Bible's propped up by his raging erection.
No, it doesn't get that. It doesn't get. No, it might. We don't know what he did in his private
I'm not
time.
saying that's what it is, but that's the way you described it, was to paint that visual.
That was what I was going for.
Yeah,
that is my aesthetic, actually.
Yeah, he's just sitting out under a tree, with the Bible just right,
He doesn't even
45-degree angle.
That's his book stand. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he can
that's
read
exactly.
it handless.
Yeah,
just sit back with his hands.
That's
behind
how
his
he
head.
writes notes.
So, by 16, he had gotten himself a preacher's wagon and found the written
You're
word.
going to say preacher's wife.
No, not yet. He does have 2 of those.
Good.
Well, he never actually technically. I don't think he ever actually divorced the first one. Doesn't matter. We'll get to it.
Foreshadowing.
Okay.
Spoiler alerts. Whatever.
So, he'd gotten himself a preacher's wagon. He'd found the written word of a group of Jezreelites from the 1700s. And he fell in love with their interpretation of the Bible and started preaching it all over the South and Midwest.
Don't you love when there's an interpretation you can, choose to believe more than the others?
Yeah. There's about 200 of them in the United States just for one religion.
Also, I think it's the first time I've taken insulin live on the podcast.
Oh, this will be fun for everybody.
Well, no one's going to see it.
No, but you got to do the ASMR the click.
There you go.
There you go. In case you cared. While Scott's stabbing himself over there. So the Jezreelites were started by a woman named Joanna Salscott. She was the first messenger. And then another man named James Jezreel and some dude from Australia.
And this was in 1700?
The 1700s.
Okay.
Yep. So they believed that there were going to be 7 messengers before the second coming of Jesus.
Okay.
And then when Jesus came, he was going to re-establish Eden.
Okay.
Okay. Which apparently is going to be on the banks of Lake Michigan in Benton Harbor.
I mean, it's not the worst spot ever.
No. Is any of this ringing a bell?
No.
They'd have good wine over there. So northern would have been better, but I understand, you
More
know, you
like
got to settle for
Leelanau?
south.
Yeah.
So the trio believed. Oh, I literally just said that.
Yes.
Yes. And so naturally, Benjamin. James Jezreel was the sixth messenger. Joanna was the first, and so naturally,
they thought they were coming in like rapid fire.
Yeah. Well, at first, yeah, and then a couple.
They're like, it's been 1,700 years. The next 7 are all going to be within the next 8 months.
Yes, and then
Seems unlikely, guys.
Yeah, and then number 7 came along. Benjamin believed himself was the seventh messenger.
Sign me up.
Yep. And so, like I said, after the seventh messenger came into the picture, Jesus is supposed to arrive soon after. And then once Jesus comes back to earth, he creates that new paradise. And the Jezreelites will be given eternal life in their mortal bodies. So if you are a follower of the Jezreelites, you will physically also live forever, not just your soul.
Is that an advantage? Okay.
I don't know. So they would live
wanted to be vampires.
Yes, pretty much. So I don't remember the Bible ever mentioning vampires. I'd probably be a lot more interested in it if they did.
The giants intrigued me at one point.
There's giants in the... Oh, yeah, there are giants in the Bible.
Not like just David and the Goliath. There's actually like... Anyway, can save that for a later date.
You should save it for the bonus pod. Tell us more.
I have a note in my phone about it being mentioned at some church service I was at, and I did like a shallow dive into it.
By that, you just read the verses?
No, I Google searched it, and that's as far as I went.
I think there's a reference book, though. It's pretty popular. I don't know if you've seen it around.
Okay, I don't think they're mentioned like verbatim, but it like... Anyway,
did.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Also, not part of this podcast.
So we have folklore tidbits and now Bible tidbits. We are all over the place.
Well, it's both things we grew up on. So.
Oh, well, I was self-taught. Yeah, that was self-exploration.
You were
into
given
folklore.
fae books by people you know, and I was given Bibles by people I knew.
So, and as I'm getting older, I realized, like, my dad was like, "Your mom's a witch." She had the pencil and the thread that she would use to tell how many pregnancies you're going to have and what gender.
A pendulum.
Yeah, now that I realize that I'm older, that is exactly what a fucking pendulum is.
Back when she used to do it, they were actually lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the lead pencils.
Did you just click?
Yeah, it was an accident. The top of my roof is like the top
of your roof
of my mouth is really dry. Oh my God, no one cares. Anyway, you're going to get eternal life in your mortal bodies, and it would be horrible.
Hopefully your roof doesn't click.
So somewhere along the way, Benjamin married a woman. No mention of who. They had a child. Again, no mention of her name. And then either was divorced or may have married his second wife when he was still technically married to her.
Okay.
Anyway, she's no longer in the picture, but that child with his estranged wife lived longer than all of his other children.
Okay.
So no one really knows how his first marriage ended, but it did. And then he met a woman named Mary when she was only 16.
Okay.
Both Benjamin and Mary were described as intelligent, charismatic, and attractive.
Terrific.
Bless you. Just hacking up a lung over there.
That's the dog, not either of us.
Oh, yeah.
They can't.
I'm pretty sure the dog.
I don't think they can.
That's her long COVID symptoms cough, because I'm pretty sure she got COVID when we had it because she stuck her whole face in a mask.
Anyway.
Dummy.
Focus, lady.
Focus.
5 pages today.
Benjamin would preach and Mary would write down his sermons. So she was able to put this in a book form.
Oh, okay.
So this power couple then had 2 children together and spent time at a commune in Detroit called the God House, headed by a man who claimed that he was the 7th messenger.
Oh, conspiracy.
Scandalous.
That's the first person he kills.
Yep. No, maybe. We don't know. But in 1895, at a prayer service, Benjamin declared that he was in fact the 7th messenger. And I was supposed to put a quote in here.
Okay.
Anyway, it was along the lines of like, if you don't believe that I am the 7th messenger, you get to burn in hell, essentially.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Just a little ominous threat.
Yep. So the couple, which is really the only like violent streak outwardly that he has recorded, because the rest of it's pretty bomb until we get to this one part that we'll get in the second half.
Cool.
So the couple was banished from the God House, and the Purnells then wandered for 7 years, preaching that Benjamin was the seventh messenger and that the day of reckoning was close at hand. So while living and preaching in southern Ohio, the couple's first daughter, Hetty, at only 16 years old.
Is Hetty short for something?
No, I have no idea.
Is it like short for like Henrietta maybe?
Hetty? Maybe.
You don't call her Henry.
Why not? It'd be fun.
Hank, get over here.
We got somebody who wants to marry you. Sorry, that was the only thing I could come up with.
That's fine.
So,
That's a good accent.
Their first daughter, Hetty, at only 16 years old, died in a factory explosion with 7 others.
Oh, a factory explosion?
They hold on. I guess I'll get to it.
How do you spell Hetty?
Head Y.
Okay, you don't want to Google what's Hetty short for.
No. And learned his lesson. Maybe he'll stop Googling on the podcast.
I don't see. Yeah, there's like no.
Is it all dirty? Put your safety search on, sir.
There's like nothing. No. Anyway, it's not short for anything. It's just Hetty.
All right, old name.
Okay.
Named Hetty. They were really manifesting her destiny. So anyway, she died in a factory explosion with 7 others, which was completely contradictory.
Of course it was 7 others. We need a little dinger every time you say 7 because you've said it like 9 times already.
Yes.
And we're 17 minutes in.
Ooh, dee-dee-dee-doo. Anyway.
The edited people are like, you're like 14 minutes. Like people listen to this.
Like, you're wrong. Who taught you how to read? So this was completely contradictory to what Benjamin was preaching. You were supposed to be able to live eternally in your mortal body if you followed him. So Mary and Benjamin refused to claim her charred body because everybody else was like barely. You were barely discernible.
I thought they had. I thought Jesus had to come back and then they were immortal. He says you're immortal right away.
Yeah, if you follow him.
Oh yeah, that's a flawed plan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
Cool.
That'll be in the second half.
Cool. This is like the simulation one all over again.
It is. So, they refused to claim her charred body and skipped out on their own daughter's funeral because you're not supposed to die, right?
Okay.
And the
Denial. It's a powerful tool.
Yes. And then the townspeople were appalled and they drove the couple and their remaining daughter out of town. They were like,
well, they've been wandering for 7 years. What's another driven out of another town?
Yeah.
I guarantee this is not the first place they've been driven out of.
Absolutely not. So they did manage, though, to gather a handful of converts who founded their own house of God.
Yep.
And they themselves...
So they went from God House to House of God?
Well, first they were God House again, and then they changed the name to House of God. Okay. Yeah. No, he literally just stole that guy's entire shtick. He was like, no, I am these things. And they went and started the God House.
I love that.
Down in the that town that they were in.
Imitation's the highest form of flattery.
It really is.
Yeah. House of God, by the way, is HOG. So
it is
good
it
abbreviation.
Is
love that. A lot of bikers showing up on Sundays.
So they got themselves a couple patron saints, the Moonies, who donated the land to...
Oh, Mad Eye?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you said Mooney.
Mooney, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they donated the land to the God House in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And this is where the group settled.
Terrific.
Yep. So with the help of their followers, the first structure, the arch, was built.
Okay.
So see, in order to join the House of David colony, you had to essentially...
Wait, House of David?
Yes. Wait.
That was House of God.
Shit
is right.
It is House of David.
This whole time.
No, sorry.
It's the Hog.
It was the God house.
And then the House of David.
Yep, and then the House of David.
What's his name?
Benjamin.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I just needed a quick refresher of wherever we were.
Yes. Okay. People are still worshiping Jesus. Just bear that in mind. Like they're like waiting. Jesus is the one who's coming back.
He's just a messenger.
Yep, he's just the messenger.
Okay. According to him.
Kind of.
Okay.
So
he's the messenger until that gets stale.
Yep. So yes. So in order to join the House of David colony, you had to essentially apply. They had enough pull and interest across the country.
It's like American Idol.
Yeah, pretty much. It really is because he is a headhunter. You apply. Mm-hmm. So you apply, and then Brother Benjamin had enough charisma that the best of every industry would inquire about becoming a member. So they pulled in some of the best musicians and bands and artists and engineers, teachers, builders, woodworkers, athletes, actors, everything. They had like Supreme Court judges. They had just...
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. This is the early, late 1800s, early 1900s.
No Yelp reviews yet.
Not yet. So apparently they were a godsend to the community. These people are amazing.
That's terrific.
Yep.
I mean, if you spin it as like a center for the arts, which it sounds like you're doing, I guess that's got some benefit.
Just wait.
Okay.
You still haven't heard of this yet.
No.
Okay. All right. So they would mail books and brochures to recruit people and advertisements across the country to bring in new visitors, touting that it was a short 2.5-hour trip from Chicago.
Correct.
Their
So are
little
we.
cult area. So Benjamin had a knack for headhunting and pulling out the best talent in people.
Mm-hmm.
So you would apply and you were brought in, and they literally had a wait list. They were like,
People love
that
exclusivity. Yeah.
Yes.
That word. Love it.
So you would apply. You were brought in. They had the wait list. They were told not to arrive until you had been called to come home.
Oh.
And so they would call you in and ask your life story and 14 questions about your faith. And if you believed that Ben was the Messiah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Hard no.
So when you're like, oh, yeah, he's a messenger. He's a messenger. He's also probably the Messiah.
That got lost a little in translation.
Yeah.
They're so similar.
Yeah, they both start with M's.
He's a misogynist
There's an A
too.
in there.
Yeah, it's just starts the same.
He's not a misogynist.
I was just running off
No.
the mess.
This is a very conflicted story.
Okay, good.
So they pull people
I love a good plot twist.
Yep. So they pull people from all over the world, but there was a positive shift that helped propel the House of David into international renown when the Australians were recruited to join the cult.
Okay.
Because remember the Jezreelites were started by an Australian.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it was kind of already like a basic belief like
backing.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is when musicians showed up. The cult created every type of band imaginable for the time.
Okay. Are you going to name drop some celebrities at some point?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, good.
So, they, obviously not metal bands, but they did make
18 whatever. No shit.
There's polka. So they had singing, jazz, concert, blues, ukulele. You name, they had it.
Okay.
So they recruited artists and sculptors and built studios for them to create in. Builders and engineers would contribute their talents, building first an ice cream shop where the House of David would sell house-made ice cream with dairy sourced from their own cows.
Ooh.
Yes, because they also had their fingers in every type of farming and logging, bringing in the best farmers they could get their hands on.
Uh-huh.
And everyone who joined the House of David had to give up all of their earthly possessions.
Always.
To the colony.
Yep.
There's our, rule number 2.
Hopefully he doesn't like Rolls Royces as much.
No. That's not what he likes.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So they were like OG farm to table.
Yeah,
Well, I
OG
guess
farm to table.
It's 18 whatever. Fucking everything they own is farm to table.
Oh, that is true. That is true. It's back when people had
just
victory gardens and stuff.
They just commercialized ice cream or like fast fooded. Goodness, that's a good word. They streamlined ice cream.
Yes.
So you didn't have to sit there and churn it. You churn butter.
And I think you churn ice cream too, though.
Whatever.
Isn't there? We made it in chemistry class once. Do you remember?
Anyway,
Doesn't matter. There's salt involved because you got to cool the
they're doing
temperature.
it for people. People love that shit.
Yes, people love it.
Okay.
And so,
House of David ice cream.
Yep, the House of David ice cream. You have to give up all of your earthly possessions to the colony, and everything they did and created was for the collective, giving their labor and selling their goods to keep the colony supported so that they could live forever.
Okay.
And if you were not helping and contributing, you wouldn't be taken care of.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. They realize this is all going to fall apart when one person dies, right? Like
We're gonna.
It's just got a
it.
built-in linchpin. Like it's like
I wish you understood. Like, I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating when I'm like, they've pulled in literal geniuses.
Yeah.
They pulled in literal geniuses.
That's fine. I just am saying, like, that's the domino to fall is going to be like one contributing member dies and be like, well, I didn't think that was going to happen. Anyway, keep going.
So
I'm trying to not poo-poo this whole thing. I get it. It's a big deal.
The belief system is whack. What they did in the mark that they made in literal American culture is fucking insane.
Terrific.
Like, they affected the American culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
So
We scream for ice cream.
This is why it's a really cool story.
Cool. I'll stop being so interrupty.
No, you're fine. Interrupt away.
No.
That's literally the entire point.
That's the premise of this podcast.
So,
we should have named it "Try to Tell Me Something Terrible."
and then give up halfway through.
Bitch, I'm going to interrupt you. Sorry.
So, I said a swear. I have to apologize.
I didn't say it. Oh, I said a swear, yes, but I said it at you. It just felt like I needed to apologize.
Thank you. You're such a gentleman.
Yeah, I try.
So the ice cream shop was extremely popular with the locals, and Benjamin was an entrepreneurial-minded man.
Okay.
So he took advantage of outsiders' curiosity. So in 1908, they bought more land.
1908? It was just 18-something.
It was 1861 was when he was born. 1895 is when they
Oh.
Yeah, no, we're moving along at a clip.
I thought, okay. Sorry, I was 100 years behind you.
No.
That's fine.
The 1700s is when
Yep, I'm with you now.
Their stories were written.
We crossed over the century mark, and we just crossed over a different one than my brain thought we did.
Right, yeah. You're like, okay, we just got into the 1800s.
That's
no,
fine.
we were in the late 1800s anyway.
Yep, I'm here with you.
So in 1908,
Mm-hmm.
they bought more land, and the House of David expanded the ice cream shop to an entire amusement park called Eden Springs.
Terrific.
Yes. So the members built vegetarian restaurants because eating animals is murder, and so the Jezreelites were all vegetarians.
Okay.
You'll learn more about their beliefs as we go on.
But they're okay with dairy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're vegetarian, not vegan.
Okay, I can respect that.
Yep. So amphitheaters, they built amphitheaters.
Mm-hmm.
This is where actors would perform. They were big on vaudeville and music. Even Louis Armstrong played and visited the park.
Nice.
He wasn't a member. He just came.
Yeah. They weren't segregated.
No, we're going to get to it.
Okay, good.
We're going to get to it.
That's fine. We can get to it. I'm just pointing things out as I notice them.
So they had midget go-karts. Like small go-karts. They were called the midget cars. not like little people.
I got you.
And you're like, wait, you said what? What did you call them? That's very unlikely.
Well, I realized it could have been of the times. But
Yeah.
no, I figured out what they were all on my own.
Mini go-karts.
Okay.
Pony rides, a bowling alley. They had a greenhouse, a dance hall, a hotel and a resort, a jewelry shop, art studios. They owned their own power plant and hospital and schools.
Wow.
They sold souvenirs, had a movie theater, a billiards parlor. They put on what was touted the world's largest farmers markets.
Okay.
So that was like the only beef the community really had at first was like, oh, they have their farmer markets bigger than ours. But like eventually they just became like this big thing that brought in a bunch of money into the community.
Okay.
And it was the world's biggest farmers market because, true to farm-to-table fashion, they owned over 100,000 acres of their agricultural ventures, including grain fields and fruit orchards.
That's a big farm.
Yeah, just all over the state. It's not just in that region.
but
they
still,
own
like,
property everywhere.
Yeah, but still, it's like a mega farm.
Yeah, so they built a zoo, which included bears and tigers, exotic birds, and kangaroos that were shipped in from Australia.
Nice.
Yep.
And they weren't boxing them, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. They were there for, no, you weren't supposed to.
I know.
They're big
not,
nature lovers.
That's what I'm saying. They're humane,
Yeah.
so that I assume their zoo is fairly on the up and up.
So they also had a beer garden once Prohibition was lifted, and people really started to flock to the park then because it was one of the few places opened after Prohibition where you could just drink and relax.
Nice.
There's no fear of judgment because they wouldn't get authorities involved if you got too drunk.
Okay.
They would just throw you in a cell, in these little jail cells that the House of David built inside of
Little
a
drunk
hill.
tank?
Yeah, it was in a hill, so it was just
Like a cave?
yes, and they would just throw you in there. Yeah, and it'd be like a drunk tank where you could just chill
Nice.
because they didn't want authorities at it all up in their business.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Jezreelites, though, they weren't allowed to drink. There's no alcohol. Okay. They couldn't even have caffeine.
Mormonish.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no bit. So Al Capone would even come for visits. Yeah. Where he would attempt to get the conductors of these little mini trains that they had to take their hats off so that he could see their long hair. Because no one was allowed to cut their hair or their beards because the goal was to look more like Jesus.
Nice. Okay.
Eventually, it grew to have the world's largest miniature, but still large enough to ride trains.
Okay.
So what they did was Benjamin and Mary went to the World's Fair in Chicago in 1904, and they bought a mini train, and they brought it back to Michigan for their engineers to reverse engineer the train and they made 8 train sets that carried visitors from the park entrance, which is a quarter mile back, to the rest of the amusement park and also throughout.
Okay.
So when I say these people are geniuses, I'm not fucking kidding.
They have like a team of engineers.
Yes.
So this is, very Disneyland-ish.
Yeah. So Walt Disney himself came to study the park for inspiration for Disney, and he bought one of those little trains built by the House of David to install at his own personal home.
Nice.
Yeah. So I told you they impacted
A lot of facets.
everything.
Yeah.
So an average of 500,000 visitors came to Eden Springs Park a year, and then they wound up with, they estimate, 35 million visitors over the lifetime of the park.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It is
And that's
legit.
not when traveling was like super easy.
Yeah.
It's probably, people probably took trains to Chicago and then would drive up or whatever too.
Yeah. Specifically to come here.
Yeah.
So the House of David touched everything in American culture, including America's favorite pastime,
Baseball?
baseball.
Okay.
Yep. Especially baseball. So at one point, there was even fraudulent House of David baseball teams that the colonies would have to sue the fakey fakers, because there were people copycatting them all throughout the country. They'd be like, "Ooh, we're the House of David baseball team," because they were so popular.
Like traveling?
Yeah,
Okay,
traveling.
gotcha.
They would travel. So Benjamin was always the businessman, though, and they would even franchise out the House of David baseball teams.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So if there's a fake, they're like, you can use our name, but we want to cut?
Yes. Or they did sue them at first, but yeah. So, again, Brother Ben recruited some of the best athletes he could. And if you weren't recruited specifically for the baseball team, but were still athletic, you wound up on the team.
Okay.
So the original intention of the, baseball was to keep the feisty young men calm.
Keep them busy?
Because the sport was designed to get them, to let them get all that pent-up energy out as a distraction for celibacy.
I was going to say.
Yes.
Everyone's celibate but him, I'm sure.
He's celibate too. What are you talking about?
He's got kids.
No, they're all celibate now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, because sex is completely forbidden even for procreation. So
Okay.
everybody's celibate.
Okay. A lot of the same age people going to be in this thing.
Yep.
Okay.
No, they recruit all different
I
sorts
just
of
meant
age
like
people.
there's not going to be a second generation.
No, there's not supposed to be a second
Just
generation.
keep recruiting. All right.
So the only way to expand their kingdom was to recruit, and recruit they did. The House of David baseball team could never, they would recruit in people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They didn't do a lot of evangelizing. They didn't do any evangelizing in the amusement park.
Yeah.
They just kind of sent out flyers, people just word of mouth. So for the baseball team, though, they would recruit people that weren't going to join the cult to play for them. So you didn't have to be in the cult in order to be on
Play
the baseball
baseball.
team.
Okay.
But they could never make it to the majors, but it wasn't for the lack of talent. Their average winning percentage was 0.75, and some years they never lost.
Okay.
So the men were not allowed to cut their hair or their beards.
So 0.75 means they win 3/4 of their games.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
75 to 80% of their games.
Yeah.
So they weren't allowed in the majors because they would have had to shave their face and cut their hair, but they can't because they had to look more like.
Jesus.
Yes.
I wonder if it was. I know the Yankees have always had that rule. Back then, I'm guessing all the teams.
It was
did.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were ostracized.
Because
They were not allowed to join the
2006
league.
or whatever, Johnny Damon straight up looked like Jesus playing for the Red Sox.
Yeah. Well, and there's people now that have long curly hair and shit.
Except for the Yankees.
Yeah. Well, the Yankees are.
They still have, dress code or whatever you call
Who
that.
gives a shit?
Yep.
Guys, it doesn't reflect professionalism and ability. Who cares? As long as the beard's not flapping up in their eyes, it doesn't
They can
matter.
have mustaches.
Oh, that's nice of them. They got a nice cop look to them.
Yeah. / porn star.
Who wants a mustache ride? So, they pulled this from everyone's favorite book from the Bible, Leviticus. Mm-hmm. Yes. So the House of David baseball team was relegated to play with the other outcasts of the baseball world, like the Negro League.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they were a barnstorming team. So they would travel through the region playing other small local teams and minor league teams. But more often than not, they played the Negro League. even inviting black players to play alongside with them, even creating their own league called the Monarchs.
Okay.
Yeah, or team in the league, the Monarchs.
Okay, I've heard of the Monarchs.
Yep. So
they were local, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So they even tried to recruit Babe Ruth to play with them.
Nice.
Yeah. Instead, they managed to recruit Grover Cleveland Alexander. He's their pitcher.
Okay.
They were talking about how good of a pitcher he was. People would want to play the House of David just so that they could try to get a hit on
Grover
Cleveland Alexander.
Huh. Okay.
How about Dizzy and Daffy Dean?
Were they Disney characters?
Nope. Those were also two brothers that were really good players. Some of their players that they recruited went on to go play in the major leagues.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably famous. You got to remember, this is over 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. So
I know, like, Satchel Paige and Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm saying those are like the famous names I would have recognized.
Yep.
Okay.
So, by 1915, they had won the Michigan State Baseball League or whatever it's called. By 1917, they'd won some Spalding thing. And then by the 1920, they were featured on the front page of New York Times. So they're a big deal. They were most famous for their pepper games. When they traveled across the country, the small town that they were visiting would literally shut down completely in preparation for the House of David. Everyone wanted to watch them play.
Okay.
Like they were like, "Sorry, we're all going to the game."
Yep.
Shutting down for the day. So the team and their manager Jesse Talley would meet the team. There's too many M's.
Yep.
So they would meet with the small town baseball team's managers and pretty much say, hey, your entire town wants us to play here, and people will literally riot over a dropped hat. So if you don't want your entire town burned down, you better let the Monarchs or whatever other local Negro team play first before us.
Okay.
And you're going to let them stay in your white-only hotels, and you're going to let them eat at their white-only restaurants, or we won't be coming.
Nice.
Yeah. So when you say you're like, oh, there's no segregation. No, these people were
the opposite. Yeah.
Yes. Like they were like tough tits.
Yep.
We are dragging these people. Like we are trying to get them through
to normalize
your
them,
bullshit. Yeah. They were huge. Yeah.
Advocates.
Yeah. They were really good people. So, of course, those managers would throw a fit. They threatened the entire team and informed them that they wouldn't be invited back the following year, but they would ultimately let the black teams play first. Nice, yeah. And then they were always invited back to whatever, redneck, racist hillbilly town for the next season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we got to do that again.
Yeah, they made them enough money that they were like, fine, I guess.
Well, they were probably like, oh, these black baseball players they're just baseball players.
People would watch them and they'd be like, oh, this is great. They would enjoy it. They'd be like, pleasantly surprised. They're like, oh, this is actually good baseball.
Yeah, you're right.
So they did a really good job trying to like
integrate.
Normalize. Yeah.
Yeah.
This always starts in sports, guys.
Yeah.
It starts in sports.
Mostly.
I've really noticed that like this year though. Like when I have to I'm actually paying attention when you're watching sports. And I'm like, oh,
yeah, they
it's
address
not that bad.
They address a lot of social issues in sports. Yeah.
Wow, go figure.
It's like it's a global game.
Yeah.
All of them are.
Yes. Except for football. Our football.
Michigan's basketball team played in London today.
Look at them go.
Right.
So after the first baseball game, which people usually watch in their entirety, and guess what? They enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Go figure. And then the House of David would play the second game, which was their pepper game. So this is the inspiration for the Harlem Globetrotters.
Okay.
Because, again, this cult started everything. So a typical game would start normal, but by the fourth inning, the team would start theatrically tossing the balls back and forth to one another, doing that fake throwing thing that you like to do to me, where you like throw it and it slides backwards over the top of the hand, and like juggling it. They'd have them disappear like in another player's hair and like out their beard. And
because they all have crazy hair.
Yeah, and they're like tossing it like underneath their legs to other basemen. Like they literally turned it into a vaudeville meets baseball situation.
Nice.
Yeah. They really embraced like that 1920s culture.
It's like the Savannah Bananas.
What, the Savannah Bananas?
I'll show you. It's a minor league baseball team, and they don't do anything seriously. They play other.
It's not even like they don't do anything seriously. Well, these people were used for warm-up games for the major leagues, and they won more often than not.
Well, and they're like they're not like an affiliated minor league team, but they're like former like college baseball players
Right.
and like
They're
it's just
talented. They're just dicking around.
yeah,
That's what these people are
but
doing.
they do
And winning.
ridiculous things.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you sometime. Anyway,
They have video footage
If you
of
wa-
them like warming up and stuff in practices.
yeah,
Because the cult, which I didn't bring up in this part, I'll probably bring up in the second, was where they were meticulous record keepers.
yeah.
So they would usually win, but this isn't why most people stuck around and watched the game. They were waiting for donkey baseball.
What?
Donkey baseball.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you
I've
heard of
never
it?
played. No.
Oh, you've never played. Well, maybe we'll inspire a new church league.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the donkeys, they
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So it started as a joke with a reporter, but their promoter ran with it. They would play regular baseball, but instead of sprinting through the bases, the players jumped on the backs of donkeys after making a hit and rode through the bases that way. Exactly as if you were like running. So if you hit a first base,
Aren't donkeys
you
notoriously
rode
stubborn? Okay, good.
They are. And we've learned herd animals don't like crossing lines.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, no. Again, there's video footage. It's fucking chaos.
I'm sure it is.
It's simply amazing.
Yeah.
So like even if you hit a first and you were just going to first base.
Hit a first?
Hit a first. What is that?
Hit a single?
Hit a single?
There you
Even
go.
if you hit a single, you're riding that donkey to first base and you're sitting there trying to like keep it under control like
Yeah.
you would be running bases.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was chaos and the crowds loved it. They would stay after the games for meet and greets and sign baseballs, allowing fans to braid their hair. They were like all about the entire experience. So people loved watching them play.
Yeah.
By 1934, the House of David made it to the Denver Post tournament.
Okay.
Sure.
It's a long way from Benton Harbor.
It is. And that year was the first year that a black team was allowed to compete. So the House of David, their Monarch team, entered. And they brought along with them Bill Perkins and Leroy Satchel Paige.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's why I was smirking when you were
Well, he's like the
listing off.
most. He's probably one of the most famous pitchers in baseball ever.
Yeah.
Not just yeah.
I heard you mention his name. So as I was like before, so as I'm like reading through this shit, I was like, oh my God, Scott's mentioned this and he's mentioned this. Like he's going to be so excited about learning about cults and baseball.
Yeah.
So they were friends of the outcasts and they were readily embraced by the outcasts because they were also shunned from major sports and anything that required specific appearances. So, they
For just
Yeah.
going against social norms.
yes, and they were ostracized for it, and so they made sure that others were not ostracized for it.
Yeah.
The dollop does
For the greater good.
yes. So what was the platinum rule that we learned about?
Oh, do unto others as they would want you to do unto them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, not just the golden rule.
Yep. I really liked that. The dollop does a relatively recent episode on just the House of David's baseball team.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, Dave Anthony loves baseball.
He does. There's a few on
Baseball.
baseball.
I know.
That's why I know about 10 Cent Beer Night. I think that's one of my favorite episodes. It's fucking crazy.
You like that one better than the Rube?
I don't know. The Rube was real good.
I mean, if a pitcher takes off after a fire truck
In the middle of a game.
yeah, that would be a sight to behold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drunk as fuck, by the way.
Hey, whatever gets you through the day.
Or the game.
or your job.
Yeah. Yes. Rough day at the office.
Yep.
Rough day at the field.
Yeah, you have to perform for 3 hours every 5 days, or 2 hours every 5 days. Yeah, if you got to be drunk, I guess you got to be drunk.
Yep. So the House of David had acquired 80 acres of a 2,600-acre island in northern Michigan next to Beaver Island. So this was to expand their agricultural empire. They bought the island in 1912. So like all of this stuff is like building and getting
there good
popular all from the 1903s when they built the park, and it just keeps building on every aspect.
I feel like an island, the cost would like to
It's
ship
not
things.
food.
Oh, okay.
What's up north? That's not copper. What else do we have in this state?
Just keep going.
It's wood.
Okay.
Yeah. So the trade in
There's
exotic.
wood on not islands
There
too.
is this specific tree
Okay.
that only grows
Okay.
on that
Sorry,
island,
I'm
which I
listening.
meant to look up and I didn't.
Okay. It's not
So
teak wood.
no,
That's the Amazon, I think.
So the trade in, quote, exotic wood was growing, and there was one specific tree that only grew on High Island that was in high demand.
Okay.
Also, apparently, Michigan was well known for, like, its furniture.
Okay.
And our cars.
Well,
We just like building shit.
Well, I mean, there's like...
What else is there to do 6 months of the year?
Yeah, 6 months. You're stuck just thinking about what you're going to do in those 6 months. So you're really well planned.
Yes. And then the colony bought the acreage. They set up a small settlement and restored an already existing mill from previous owners that indigenous people that still lived on High Island rightfully drove away.
Okay.
So there was already a mill there.
Oh, the indigenous people drove.
Yeah, the natives were like, fuck you, white people, get off our islands.
Okay.
But not these white people.
They're going to embrace these white people.
Yes, because these white people are not racist assholes.
Terrific.
In the early 1900s.
Yeah, and they all look like Jesus, so.
Yeah. And they were like,
who
oh,
are
we're not going to
these
come
Martians?
here to, like, you know, take away your culture and murder you.
Yeah.
And steal your land.
We can share. Mm-hmm. We're going to cut down all your trees, but...
No, they were really good about, like...
Responsible harvest.
Yeah, responsible harvest, planting stuff. They worked with the natives. The natives taught them shit. They taught the natives shit.
You want to keep it rare, because that keeps the price up.
Yeah. Yeah, because this one's probably rare. Unlike the concept of rarity, which is an illusion, just look at the diamond industry. Anyway, capitalism.
Let's pivot quickly.
I am a raging activist. Well, I should probably try harder to be an activist. Anyway, so they had zero problems with the members of the House of David. They really did get along with everyone. So for the most part, outsiders had nothing bad to say of House of David members. They were often described as generally good people and joyful people, that they were always smiling and laughing, and they loved to entertain people. Like, that was their goal.
Okay.
And they were having a blast. And, like, the House of David, like, there's artists. God, you should see some of the fucking work for some of these artists and sculptures and stuff. He literally was like, oh, you're a master of this, that, and the other thing, and these 5 people like art. Here's a giant fucking studio. Make art. And the art is Renaissance museum level quality art. Like, it is insane. So within 2 years of renovating the mill, the colony had made a profitable lumber company. That's all it took.
Nice.
And there were members that lived there all year round, coexisting with Native Americans, and they built up a small town with gardens and pathways, a hospital, a school, and this is where Native American children could also attend, teaching them about Jesus, but also respecting their culture. They weren't like trying to do what all of the other schools. Yeah. The horrible.
What happened to, like, all of South America?
Oh, well, no, us.
Well, I know.
We did it too.
Saying,
Canada did it. Everybody did it. The whole kill the Indian, but not the child shit. So there was no, like, join us or you're going to hell thing.
Yeah.
They didn't really evangelize too much, like I said, which was one of the draws of the amusement park. They didn't shove it in your face. They didn't try to convert people, like, openly. They just allowed those to come and enjoy themselves and lead, and they just simply led by example.
You're making this out to be very pleasant thus far.
Yep. At the height of their power, the House of David had around 1,000, like maybe a little bit more than 1,000 members. I couldn't find an exact number.
Nice.
And that's the end of part 1. We're going to leave on a happy note.
Oh, good.
Yep.
So far, it's just Walt Disney with a bunch of Jesuses working there.
And baseball.
And baseball.
Yay, baseball.
Nice.
Good old American town.
What more could you ask for?
Yeah, with little trains.
In Little Benton Harbor.
With little trains, with a private car.
I wonder, I know you'll probably address as we go, but I wonder how much remains of this are still, or it's still going, whatever, are in Benton Harbor.
I am so fucking excited.
Terrific.
I am so excited.
Oh my God.
I'm trying so hard as someone
who's
who
a
always spoils everything.
God, she's the fucking worst at
This
spoiling.
is my first step to recovery.
I'm going to start.
I'm not going to tell you, and I really want to.
That's fine. You're not going to tell me now.
No.
But you have,
I even made sure.
You have a whole week.
I know.
To not tell me.
I know.
And you're going to be writing it.
I know.
And I'm already know the time. Oh, God. Okay.
It's going to be horrible. I'm just cold turkeying the spoilers, guys.
For you.
For me.
Thoughts and prayers go out.
Thank you. I I really need.
I know you needed that. All right. Are you going to save sources for the end of part 2?
No, I'm not going to give you specific source titles of things because it will give it away.
Okay.
So I'll get to the specific sources, but in general,
See part 2 for specific sources.
well, I use like the Detroit Free Press, the Chicago Tribune, bentleyumish.edu, and a dot called House of David, Life Everlasting. And that's all I'm going to tell you about the sources. Next time I'll actually tell you the article names.
Okay.
So that is the baby brief history of the House of David, because it is way more than just a dude in Benton Harbor who thought we were going to live forever.
An empire and an amusement park.
Yeah, and had exotic animals. Like, it is, there's so much to it.
How much do you want to bet his team played in Hot Springs?
Yeah, they probably fucking travel. Al Capone, because a lot of the baseball players also ran like the conductor, like
mini trains.
Yeah, like he would literally like sit like behind the conductors and be like, I just want to touch your hair.
What a weirdo.
Yeah, but because they were so. Oh my God, no, it gets better. I didn't mention this and I just remembered it. And it's part of the good part. They mentioned it in the documentary. They couldn't get jobs in town to try to bring external money in because of the way that they looked.
Yeah.
So he bought the majority shares for Benton Harbor's trolley car services so that they could change the policy so that they can get his fucking employee, like his followers, jobs.
Oh, okay, I thought you said Al Capone did.
No,
Yeah.
Benjamin did.
Yeah. No, I thought you were going to say Al Capone. I was like, well, he's probably running like rum through it. But anyway.
He probably. That's probably actually why they did it. Is so that they got
secretly that was a little side hustle.
Yeah, that's how they funded their beer garden. Actually,
And that island was probably a halfway point for when he was
from Canada, rum running.
Yeah,
from Canada.
It all makes
wild
sense now.
speculation, guys.
No, 100% all speculation.
All facts.
All right. So, thanks for listening.
Yes.
Merry Cultmas.
Merry Cultmas.
Buy a sweater if you want. Do Patreon if you want.
I think also that graphic comes in a sticker. Yep. And also we have like other stuff. There's like travel mugs and t-shirts.
Well, at this point, we've got like, 25 Patreon episodes in the bank?
Yeah.
And you can join for $1 and listen to all of them and then just cancel.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, kind of a dick move, but I'd get it.
It's a great way to ignore your
like
kids when they're stuck at home with you.
That's like 4 cents an episode.
Yeah, it is. 4 whole cents.
We should do like, you know how Ologies does Smologies? We should do kid episodes only on Patreon, so then you have to pay so your kids can listen to little tiny kids.
Absolutely not.
No. Let's exploit.
Fuck those
let's
kids.
Exploit the children.
Nope.
Okay. Also,
bad idea.
This is how we.
I am and knowing that one
and knowing that
instead
one?
of and yesing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, who is Anne?
And why is she knowing?
But you're Midwest silent D.
I
there.
dropped the D.
Yeah.
Giggity.
Yo. Anyway, now that we're
I hate
awkwardly giggling at each other, we're gonna leave you there.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Oh, if we've made it this far, congrats.
No. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oof, that was terrible. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.